Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things Second Amendment advocacy, firearms, politics, movies, you name it. We talk about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share this program so that your friends can join in the conversation. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, please make it a point to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us to get over 30,000 subscribers. Also, follow us on Facebook. Once again, we don't just do videos, but we also do a ton of different stuff in terms of advocacy and news links and stuff like that. And you'll find that all on our Facebook page. Also, if you just want to listen to us, maybe you're in your car, you can listen to the podcast version of this program. All you have to do is go to Apple Podcast, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, any one of those, and you'll be able to follow us there as well. Also, please take a moment, go to fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. There you will find very cool T-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies, all sorts of stuff to be able to help show your support for the Second Amendment, by the way, while actually supporting it, because every dollar that you spend there goes right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment, and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. All right. Today is New Year's, so Happy New Year. There's nothing brings in or nothing says the new year like a list of stuff. And I figured that you guys would enjoy hearing about some of the anti-gun politicians who ran afoul of the law in 2018. Now, you might remember that anti-gun activists started this whole, hashtag wearing orange thing in order to help promote gun violence. It's on June 2nd is the day that they do it. So they created this whole hashtag wearing orange to show their support for gun control. But the interesting part about it is the number of people who are a part of these movements, whether it's, mayors against illegal guns or moms demand action or politicians or whoever, who basically wind up running afoul of the law. So in other words, they want to keep guns out of the hands of criminals, and then at the same time they themselves become criminals. So we decided on an annual basis what we will do is we will create the hashtag wearing orange, because they're now going to be wearing orange jumpsuits, Hall of Shame. And so now we're going to talk about and do a brief rundown of the 2018 inductees into the hashtag wearing orange Hall of Shame. All right. The first one here is going to be a former congressional candidate, Miss Kelly Collins, who decided that, once again, during her campaign advocated for gun control, about responsible gun ownership. But in the end, would wind up, not being so responsible in her use of firearms. Check it out.
Kelly Collins turned herself into the McDuffie County Sheriff's Office and now faces grand larceny and murder charges. While running for Congress, Collins told online blog Girls Really Rule she planned to practice what she preached and be a proponent of public policies that benefit the community as a whole. She's quoted in the blog saying, "When your friends and family are depending on you to make ethical decisions that affect their lives for many years, a member of Congress should hold her or himself to a higher standard than the bare minimum that many GOP members are currently using as a benchmark." Her website, KellyForCongress.com, no longer exists, but when it did, Online Athens says the Democratic candidate was described as an entrepreneur whose work included some modeling. Her website also touted platforms supporting a federally mandated minimum wage and stricter tax laws for corporations. And given recent events, the most eyebrow-raising stance from Collins, the support of responsible gun regulation to protect the community.
By the way, did I forget to mention that she was arrested for killing her former campaign treasurer? Did I forget to tell you guys that? That's right. She's once again congressional candidate in Georgia's 10th district, and she was charged with the murder of her former campaign treasurer, Mr. Curtis Kane. Once again, so in other words, the responsible gun ownership that she was promoting was keeping guns out of the hands of people like her. All right. Moving right along. Now we also have, this guy is kind of interesting. And once again, so first you have the state of Georgia, and now we have one from the state of Texas. This gentleman right here he is the outspoken. He's the outspoken mayor pro tem who actually protested the NRA, the National Rifle Association, going to Dallas, basically holding their annual conference there in Dallas. His name is Duane Caraway, and he just pled guilty to conspiracy and tax evasion charges involving $450,000 in bribe and kickback payments stemming from securing a city school bus stop arm camera contract for a Louisiana company. So once again, just another politician who has decided that, well, hey, you know what? I am so much more ethical that I don't have to follow the law because, well, hey, I'm the good guy. I'm the guy who ought to be exempted from the rules. Things like following the laws really don't apply to me. But yet at the same time, he wants to be pointing fingers at the NRA and saying how bad the NRA is and how anti-American the NRA is and how they have no place in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, not buying it. But once again, Mr. Duane Caraway is wearing orange as we speak. Then we move on to New York. Finally, we move on to an anti-gun state. Now, this guy will be interesting. You might recognize this gentleman. He is the former New York Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver. He was a key player in adopting a number of anti-gun measures, including the SAFE Act. He was a sponsor of the SAFE Act. And by the way, is not the only sponsor of the SAFE Act that is currently been convicted of a crime. But in fact, this is the second time since 2015 that Silva, a Manhattan Democrat, was unanimously found guilty after a jury trial in May. This happened back in May for taking millions off private schemes. Basically, once again, bribery charges as well as conspiracy, taking bribes. Once again, after his first conviction was overturned by an appeals court, and then they turn around and they unanimously convicted him again. Interesting, isn't it? Once again, these are folks who think that the rules don't apply to them, right? So it doesn't really matter if he gets rich by not following the law. At the same time, he wants to make sure that law-abiding citizens get put in jail if they don't follow the law. Well, needless to say, he is also spending some time in jail himself. That is Mr. Sheldon Silver. Moving right along. Now, this one is she's not an elected official. So once again, not everybody who is on this list is going to be necessarily an elected official, but she did work for an elected official. She is a high-level deputy director in Mayor de Blasio's Office of Criminal Justice, and she was arrested for weapons charges. That's right. Reagan Stevens, the deputy director of Youth and Strategic Initiatives, was charged along with two other men after officers found the trio in a vehicle with a loaded handgun late Saturday night. According to officers, evidently, that was at the time. So, the officers. It says here that the officers found the loaded 9mm handgun in the glove compartment, according to police, who said the weapon holds 8-round magazine. But I didn't write the article. This is from the Gateway Pundit. An 8-round magazine, but only 3 rounds were remaining. So one wonders what happened to the other 5 rounds. At least that's what they're insinuating. Anyway, but they also said that it wasn't clear if the gun had been immediately fired. So they don't know if they actually used the gun for something, but needless to say, she was in the possession of an illegal firearm. And once again, this is Mayor de Blasio. You guys all know New York Mayor de Blasio, about as anti-gun as they come. And here's someone who's high up in his administration was caught with firearm. Very funny. Very funny. Okay. This gentleman, I'm sure you guys know, This is the former mayor of Stockton, Mr. Anthony Silva. He's been arrested for a number of things. This was actually just one of the things that he was arrested for. By the way, he was a very active member with Mayor Bloomberg's Mayors Against Illegal Guns. By the way, if you're wondering whatever happened to Mayors Against Illegal Guns, the organization had to go away because, well, their mayors kept getting convicted of crimes, like Mr. Silva here. It says here that the former Stockton mayor, Anthony Silva, was arrested late Thursday after he was found in possession of a firearm in violation of the terms of a no-contact order issued against him last year, according to his attorney, Alan Sawyer. Silva was taken into custody by the California Department of Justice and booked into the San Joaquin County Jail on a felony weapons possession charge and a misdemeanor possession of ammunition. Once again, I just find it intriguing that here is a mayor who is against illegal guns with an illegal gun. I know. It cracks me up. I get it. Okay, here we go. This is State Representative Catherine Rogers. Once again, another state representative. She's from the state of New Hampshire. She's a Democrat. Obviously, we know this. She pled guilty to assault and was sentenced in Concord District Court in connection with a confrontation last year with well-known gun rights advocate Susan Olsen. So the interesting thing is that she was arrested. She pled guilty and will now be doing jail time for inflicting violence or attempting to inflict violence upon someone who she said was guilty of pushing gun violence against the gun rights activists. I'm speechless. Once again, here's someone who says they don't believe in gun violence, and yet, well, evidently, gun violence is the only type of violence that she does not believe in, because she clearly believes in, well, other types of violence. Oh, this one is a fun one. Okay, you guys may or may not remember this teacher from this particular instructor from the shooting that took place in Parkland. But he was on MSNBC talking about his position on guns, and didn't believe that necessarily arming teachers was necessarily a good idea. Turns out, well, at least to a certain degree, this individual may have, at least when it comes to him, he may have been correct.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas' teacher is in trouble with the law this noon. He was arrested after he left his gun in a bathroom at the Deerfield Beach Pier. CBS 4's Joe Murray is there live. And Joan, someone found it and then fired off a shot. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what happened. And the teacher has been a big proponent of gun reform ever since he has said he ran for his life when the Stoneman Douglas shooting happened on Valentine's Day. Now, he was here on Sunday, and a routine trip to the bathroom had unintended consequences. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas students heading to class winding down the school week with the topic of guns front and center. Douglas chemistry teacher Shaun Simpson arrested Sunday for accidentally leaving his permitted personal loaded handgun inside a Deerfield Beach Pier restroom. This man, Joseph Spataro, was arrested too for firing that gun. No one was hurt. Simpson, who was charged with a misdemeanor, is not facing any punishment from the Broward School District. He made his views on arming school personnel known on MSNBC after the mass shooting February 14th.
Yeah. So, while he is facing misdemeanor charges, at least he'll get to keep his job. Anyway, that just goes to show that it's important that all gun owners are responsible, even those who are anti-gun. But you would think that anti-gun gun owners would be the most responsible when it comes to their firearm, but that's not necessarily the case. And finally, we have this individual, and I like to bring this individual up because he's here in he's the former, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the former. He's the current DA. His name is Gascon. He is the district attorney in the city of San Francisco. And it turns out that Mr. Gascon has carried guns on planes, even though he wasn't supposed to. So now, at one time, he was the police chief in San Francisco. And as law enforcement officer, you are allowed to carry a firearm on a plane if you're doing it for business, or if you're conducting police business. But if you're not, if you're a former police officer, in which case a district attorney is not a police officer, then you're not allowed to carry it on a firearm. And you're not allowed to carry a firearm on a plane. But yet and still, he, lied and did it anyway. And so now he is facing federal charges. Stemming from his, ignoring the law. Once again, another individual, anti-gun individual from San Francisco, who thinks that, they are, in fact, above the law. And that's the one thing, by the way, folks, all of these folks in this wearing orange crew, that they all share in common. They all believe that, the law doesn't really apply to them. And they're really quick to point fingers at other people and say, you need to follow a law, and we know better than you, but we don't have to follow that law ourselves. Why? Because, we're better than you. And that's what they believe. Anyway, folks, those are the 2018 #Wearing Orange Hall of Shame inductees. And that will be it for today's Coffee with Greg. Thank you so much for tuning in, for taking the time to join and join us and just, enjoying the conversation as we talk about firearms policy. I hope you guys enjoy the new year. Hopefully there will be some very good effects, some very good things that will be going on policy-wise in various different states across the country. Hopefully the things that maybe are not so good, hopefully in this new year, 2019, we will be able to stop them. But we'll be able to do it because you're with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please tell your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.